Is my screen visible to all?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So yesterday we just added the ramps and the stairs in the project, but today we'll continue by adding the doors and the other elements in the building. And we'll see today how do we create our own type parameter door also. So we have these basic walls at least ready with us. We wanted to add a door, or we want to create our own customized door supposingly. So let's make the type of door that we wanted actually. So I'll show you how do we create our own solid door with parameters. So I'll divide this family into three parts, since I'll teach you in three parts. Today we could create the door jams basically with parameters. Okay, so remember we are creating a parametric door family, and today we're gonna create the door uh, jams actually, which would be again parameter base. Okay, so let's create a family of our own. We can add the door, but they are system door. So if I select the system door, these are the system door that I have it. And there's a a bit problem with these system door that they might be not parametric. So if I pick any type of door over here, maybe I'll take some residential door, and if I pick the type in one of the type of the door, and if I inserted that type of door over here, so and if I look at from the plan view, it's like not much detail, as details, but not really that detail that I wanted to, and very less parameters are also there. So we want to create a fully customized parametric door. Okay, so we'll create of our type basically. So I'll show you in the single type you can create the double panel type basically then. So let's deal with that. So I'll come into the file menu, take the new command and take family. So we want to create our own family. So I'm taking file new family. When I pick the family, it will give me all the country list basically. So obviously we'll go to the English folder. That's because we want to create a metric door family. Okay, so we'll take English, and we need, it gives you the list of templates, the family templates. So in the list of family template, we'll search for the metric door actually. Here we have two type of door family. One is metric door dash curtain walls. That's for the curtain walls. Okay, but we are not creating a door for the curtain walls. We are creating a door for the um solid walls basically, the basic walls actually. So if you are creating a door for a basic wall, we'll pick this template metric door dot rft, not the curtain walls one. Okay, and then you can click on open to start with it. Okay, so what you will get, you will automatically get um, a plan view of that door, which has an sample wall. This is a sample wall. They have already created the door frames for you. If you do not like it, you can delete the door frames. I don't want the door frames. Okay, they have given the width of the door as 1000 mm, and the height of the door, they have set it as 2000 mm, which we can change. I can come to the family type and I can change the height of the door to be as 2100 mm and the width of the door as maybe as 900 mm. Okay. And remember, I'm creating a parametric door, so I'm not really worried about my width or the height of the door right now. I can change that width or the height in the project itself only, so that would be no problem with me. Okay. What I wanted to create now is the door jams basically. Okay. This is a single door jam, and this is the double door jam basically there. Okay, means there will be two shutters, one shutter that will be opening inside, one shutter that will be opening outside. Okay, for double shutter, this is for the single shutter. So this is what we call as the door jams basically there. Okay, that's how it looks basically there. Okay, but if you see as per the Indian standard, the single door frame or the jam basically there, it's not crossed angle, it is straight angled basically there. But this is accordingly to the AOA, means American Associate of American of Associate basically there. So they keep it little cross. We'll keep it straight actually. Okay, and we'll not create even this notch also. This notch they put it inside the LGS wall actually. Normally we have like brick walls over here, so we will not have the notch also. Okay, so that's the door jams for single, that's for the double basically. So I need to create over here. Now this door jam would be like on the three side of the door. So it will be on the left panel, it will be on the top panel or plane, or and it will be on the right plane basically. So it will be on three edges actually, the left edge, the top edge, and the right edge basically. Okay. Right, so let's create that specific door jam first today with parameters. So how do we do that? So I'll come to my 3D view over here. Okay, so I'm in my 3D view. I can see the cut opening. You can see this is the cut opening. Okay, or maybe if I switch this to constraint color, you will better understand. So that's a wall, sample wall is in there. Okay, and that's the cut opening for the door. And I need to create the door jam right as this three edge basically. So I'm going to come to the create tab, and in the create tab I'm going to choose a form actually. So when you come into the create tab, there are a lot of forms are being given. There's a form called as extrusion, there's a form called as blend, there's a form called as revolve, form called as sweep, form called as swept blend, and another form is that is for void form basically. Void form is to cut a form actually, create punctures or holes basically. So we're not going to use the void form over here, but we're going to use some of this form. Like if I use extrusion form, what will happen? It will only extrude on one side. It will not extrude on the other sides basically. And the jam is that is going continuous running on the three edges. So for that, I'm going to use the solid swept form basically there. Okay, so in this, I need to create the path and the profile, and that profile will follow along that path basically there. Okay, so I'm going to pick the swept command, solid swept command. Somebody calls swept, somebody calls it sweep, whatever you want to call this. Okay, so solid swept form, I'm going to take it. So when I take the solid swept form, it gives me two methods, whether you sketch your path or whether you pick your path basically. Okay. Now I can already see my path lines over here. Okay, so I can take pick path. If I take sketch path, I need to come in the elevation view to sketch it properly. So I cannot use sketch path in 3D mode. So I'm going to take pick path, and when I take pick path, always remember start with your left position basically. Don't start with the top. Okay, always start from the vertical edges, basically, not the horizontal, please. Many student makes this mistake that they take the horizontal edge first. Okay, so if you take the horizontal edge, what will happen? You need to create the profile not in the plan view, but you need to create the profile in your section or the elevation view, basically there. Okay, so I'm gonna take the vertical path, vertical edge to start with it, so that I can create the or draft the profile from the plan view, basically. So I'm gonna pick this. So you can see when I pick this vertical edge, you can see I can see the plane that comes in horizontal form. If I would have taken this one, you can see the plane comes vertical, which means now I need to create the profile in this side section, basically. So remember that you pick the edge, that edge here, the top edge, and this three edge. So you can see the edges are being selected. Three edges are being selected. Correct. So the path has been drawn, and once the path have been drawn, don't pick the bottom path. ये नहीं लेना है क्योंकि नीचे नहीं रहता है हमारा basically. ठीक है, नीचे बाद में कड़प्पा ऐड करना रहेगा तो बाद में ऐड करेंगे. But right now we don't want it to add that. Okay, so we are done. So we'll click on the finish mode. Okay, because we are created the path, completed with the path creation process. So we'll hit on the finish edit mode to complete. All right, now I want to create the profile for that door jam, basically there. Okay, so I'll click on edit profile. Pick that edit profile, and I can come in the plan view. And I can start creating the profiles. Okay, so before I start creating profiles, I'll create some reference planes over here so that I can give them as a parameters, basically. Okay, so I'll come to create tab and take reference plane command, and I'm going to add two vertical planes. Okay, so two vertical planes are created, and one maybe an horizontal plane. Okay, now you need to decide which side you want to swing the action, whether you want to swing the action on the exterior side or you want to swing the action on the interior side. Let's say that we swing it on the interior side. So the reference plane, I'll draw it right over here. Okay, so that will be going like that. Yeah, interior side. I'm swinging the action on the interior side. So this is the exterior side. This is the interior side. So we have created a lot of reference planes over here. Right. And now what we can start sketching these lines, means the profile lines on that reference plane. Then so I'm going to take um, the line tool from here, and I can start sketching the line. There you go. The shape of your profile, actually. Now we might have to lock these lines to the planes. So we take the align tool, this plane, the sketch line, we lock it. All right, again you take the plane first, then you take the sketch line, then you lock it. Plane, sketch line, lock. Plane, sketch line, lock it. Plane, sketch line, lock. Plane, the sketch line, lock it. There's one more plane and the sketch line, lock it. So all the lines should be locked. It shows me lock signs everywhere whenever I select the lines. That means all the lines are being locked. So that's perfect. Okay, and let's give them parameters to control. Okay, so I'll give first parameter to this plane and this plane. So I'm going to take align dimension tool. I'm going to select this plane, this horizontal plane, which is right at the end over here, and this plane. Get this dimension size a little smaller, and we'll label this dimension. We'll call this as door thickness. Okay. Now we can keep the type, that means the parameter as type parameter or an instance parameter. So if supposingly your door would be having different thicknesses in your project, you can keep it instance. So you can give different thicknesses to the door. So I'm going to make the door thickness as instance parameter. You can make it as type parameter also. So that's door thickness. I'll give one more dimension to this plane and the sketch line. Okay, or that plane to this plane actually. I'll call this as jam notch length. So I can control this notch length, whatever, how much you want it to. Again, I can give dimension to this plane and this plane as well. Call this as jam total length. Right, so I have a control over here. So let's see if these parameters are working or not. So if I come to the family type, and I can see parameters of the door thickness, which is 33.6 mm, which will make it to 40 mm thicker. Apply, and it does change. You can see the door thickness goes to 40 mm. The door total jams, that comes to 111, 112. What? No, it's different. No, that's notch length and this is total. So total length will take it as 100. And it works, gets reduced. Notch length will take it as 50, maybe half of that. Okay. Now every time if I reduce my total length, I want my notch length to be the half of it basically there. Okay, so what I can do, I can create a formula parameter. The formula parameter for the notch length would be whatever is my jam total length. So I'll copy this, paste in that, and I'll divide by 2. So if the total length goes to, let's say, 75, the notch length 37.5. So what I want कि like जब अभी ये मेरा total length कितना है 75 mm का है, correct? तो ये इसका आधा होना चाहिए बेसिकली, उधर नॉच लेंथ इसका आधा होना चाहिए. तो मैंने क्या किया कि जो फॉर्मूला था इसका नॉच लेंथ के अंदर फॉर्मूला इंसर्ट किया. फॉर्मूला क्या इंसर्ट किया बेसिकली कि वट एवर इज माई टोटल लेंथ, जैम टोटल लेंथ, डिवाइड दैट इनटू हाफ, मीन डिवाइड बाय 2. Okay, so now if I keep my notch length, the total jam length as 100, the notch length would be automatically to be 50 basically. So I don't have to give the notch length, it will automatically take it basically, right? So you can give a formula. Yeah, you need to give the formula parameter for that. Okay, now that's all workable, everything is working. Now once the parameters are being created and assigned basically that we can hit on the finish edit mode to complete. So we have the path, we have the profile, and one more time when I finish it. Okay, so we got the door jam on the other end as well. And if I look on the interior side, it's there on the top end as well. And if I look into my 3D view, there we have door jam has been created. Okay. And now if I change the wall thickness, this is currently wall that is of 150 mm, which if I make it of 200, even the frames actually goes with it. Okay. Yes, we can now even assign the material to the objects. Okay, so we can select the door frame, and we can first subcategorize it. So I'll categorize it into frames or mullions. It's a solid category object, and we'll give the materials inside it. So we'll create a material for that. I'm just going to roughly pick a material over here of any wood type. Whatever type of wood you wanted or laminate finish you wanted to apply, you can apply that material. It's parametric means if I come to the family type, if I change the height of the door, let's see if that jams works or not. So if I reduce it to 2000, It works. If I increase to 1200, it works. Four hundred and works. Okay, so it's totally working. So that's great. The jam is ready with all the parameters that has been required basically. I want the jam total thickness not as 100 but just of little smaller size. Let's take it 50. So even my notch length reduces to half of that basically. So that's good. Happy with that. Okay, that's for the single shutter that I've created. You can create a similar kind of profile for the double shutters. Okay. Now, what again I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to my plan view and yeah, I already add the hatch, so that's good. Okay, we can create the shutter also. So today I'm going to show you how do we add shutter in this directly. But before I add the shutter, I will give some reference plane once again over here and make sure that they are been given parameters. So let me create some reference plane. One reference plane here and one more reference plane here. I'm going to come to the interior view as well. I'm going to create another reference plane right here. Okay, so I'm doing that in interior view because the door shutter will be on the interior side. Okay, now I'm going to give this distance over here from here to here. Okay, and I can label this as the shim spaces. This 5 mm dimensions are my shim space. Do the same, do that on the interior side as well. Now 5 mm is very large space for shim space actually. So I'm going to reduce that spaces of the shim. Leave like 1 or 2 mm. 1 mm is fine. If I apply it, yeah, now I get a little problem, little error. It doesn't accept that shim space actually. No, it's not because of small, it's because we are giving dimension from this notch length actually. Okay. So I'm gonna have to give it from here. Even on the interior side. Right now, this will go accordingly to the formula base basically there. So my shim space would be what basically? The formula for that shim space would be whatever is equal to my notch length plus plus whatever shim space that you needed basically. Okay, so we can label this as 30 as total shim space now. Total shim space, right? This is total shim space. This is also total shim space, and the total shim space would be having a formula that whatever is the notch length plus the shim space, that is equal to my total shim space basically. Okay, so I'll come to the family type जो हमारा notch length जितना है jam notch length, copy that into total shim space, and copy your shim space, add with that shim space, so plus shim space. Okay, so notch length is 25 and 1 is my shim space, so my total shim space would be like 26 if I apply it and click on OK. So you can see now it comes over here, comes at this side as well, from the interior side as well. Okay, now if I change anything in the total jam length, suppose if I make that to 60 okay, so the notch length increases and so is the total shim space increases basically. Okay, because the notch length went to 30, okay, and the total shim space went to 31 basically. That's cause of this slightly increasing basically. Okay, so now if I reduce that back to 50s, it does works all parametrically. Okay, so now we are ready to create that door shutter. So I can now create the door shutter. The formula for total shim space is jam length, the jam notch length, sorry, plus the shim space. No, total shim space. This is total shim space. So we are ready to create. Now you can create the door shutter from two views. Either you create in the elevation view or either you create in the plan view. Okay. Now before I create the door shutter, I'll do one more thing. I'll come back to my interior view and I'll create another reference planes at the bottom as well. Okay, I'm going to give this a dimension from the bottom level to this plane, and I'm gonna call this as of now as door undercut. Generally, you see the door below the door is like it's not touched to the flooring actually. There's a little space. It's above the floor actually, so that your door doesn't scrape on your finished floor. Otherwise, it can not budge basically. It might not open basically. So required an undercut between below the door as well. So that's my door undercut. Now I can create the door frame right over here in the elevation view, or I can directly create in the plan view. So let me create in the plan view. Create extrusion. Take a rectangle shape starting from that intersection. Intersection over here. and we'll make sure that we lock all these lines. So that it will work with parameters. Otherwise, if you do not lock the sketch lines with the planes, it might not work with the parameters. Right, and then I can hit on the finish mode to complete. But if I look it into the interior view, it did not make it to this plane. Yeah, the height did not make it to that plane actually. So you can just drag that handle to the top plane. Means yeah, that ये वाले plane पर लेके आना. Drag it, drop it, and don't forget to lock it. Lock that plane. Lock that sketch line. Sorry. And it's done. And now we can even this goes lock till your the undercuts actually for the shutter. Right. So now if I look in my 3D view, you'll find the door shutters there. If I zoom in, I can see that the door shutter is having some shim spacings. Okay, I can now even select my door shutter, give that as a material as well. I can create a separate material for the door shutter. So the jam can have a different material and the shutter can have a different material. I'm just going to pick any material right now. Just for an example, I'm picking it. Yeah. The shutter, yeah, the jam, both are ready with you. Right now, one more time, we'll test our parameter, whether they are perfectly working or not. Let's try with the door width. So that's 900, make that 1000. Working. So even my shutter expands. That's great. If I change the wall thickness to 150, works. Let's try with the door thickness. It's 40 mm, make it 35. Works. That's great. Let's try the jam basically, the jam length, total length. Let's make that to say. Works. Okay. So that's great. Everything is working smoothly. If I increase the shim space, I can get up 2 mm. It works great. 1 mm. Jam door height 2100. But I need to come that in the elevation to check for that. Yeah, 2100 is the door standard. Works. No error is appearing. That means it is a smooth parametric door, which I can control its thickness. Even I can control its undercuts as well now. Just 12 mm. So I make that to 50 mm. Great. It controls that as well. So nice parametric door is created. Now it's not fully completed. We are left off with the hardwares like the handles or the locks. Okay, so in the next class, I'll tell you about how do we add the handles, means the hardware part of the door. We can create our own hardware also, or we can load the hardware that is given by the system. Then in the third part, I'll teach you about the 2D swing actions, that if it's swinging, that how it, in which direction it will swing it, basically. Just like we did it in the 2D, about the glass door, basically. There. Okay, so in the glass door, we created a handle, we created a 2D swing action parameter as well. Similarly, in the solid door also, we'll do into three parts. The first part would be about the jam. The second part was about the jam and things, the shutter. Second part would be about the hardware, and the third part would be about the swing actions, basically. Okay, and it will be totally parametric, means you will have full control about the swing actions as well. You have the full control about your hardware, and you have a full control about your door thickness, jam thickness, everything, basically. Okay. So now, if this family type is ready with us, I can like save this family type as well. So I'm going to come into file menu, save this family type, to save it on the desktop. Make sure you don't save it on desktop, you save it on your project folder, wherever it is. I have a folder in the desktop, so I'm going to save it over there. Family, I'm going to call this as solid door, or maybe I can call this as a single panel door. This is a single panel door for me. Saving it. Okay, so that's done. One more thing before we leave. Uh, just select your door jam. Sorry, just me. In the materials, we can also associate the material so that we can control the material of the door jam in the project. Otherwise, what will happen? You will be not be able to control your material for the door jams in the project. You need to always come into the family and make the changes, basically. So we'll associate it, create a new parameter for that, name it, call this as door jam material. Could be type or it can be instance. So if the door jam is of different material, like it does create that, and then you click on OK and OK. So it gets an equal sign. That means you have a control. Similarly for this door shutter, first we'll subcategorize it. So it's a panel, okay. And then we can associate the material. We'll call this as door material. I'll take it as an instance, and then I'm going to click on OK, because maybe the door shutter would be of different material for different views. Done. One more thing, I'll come into family types. There was these extra other parameters like the frame width and everything, which we have deleted. So this parameter also needs to be deleted off. So select, there's a delete parameter given at the bottom. Delete the parameters, the extra parameters that we don't need it. Okay. Otherwise, what will happen? You'll get this extra parameters every time in your project. Now, these parameters you cannot delete it: the thickness, the rough width, and the rough height. These are default parameters given by system. So these parameters I won't be able to delete it, basically. Okay, gone. So now I can apply and OK and Control S, and now I can close it. Okay, so that's one of the type of door with jam with parameters and everything. Okay, tomorrow's class we'll continue with the hardware of the door. Okay, thank you guys.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Most welcome. I've already shared the link. Please download from there. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Most welcome, Sanket. all lectures are also been uploaded. You can watch it on the same link, or you can download it. Yeah. So all
So
35 lectures. Yeah,
so
it's on the
YouTube
YouTube.
will be uploaded.
Yeah. 35 classes is been all uploaded. Today's would be uploaded tomorrow.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So as in now, how if I get a link, I'll upload it.
Okay,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you.
Most welcome. Unknown error occur when accessing. What? 22 तभी ओपन नहीं हो रहा है. कौन से पीसी में लास्ट था? तो वहाँ ओपन करके सेव एज करो फाइल को डिफरेंट नेम से.